Planet Terror is a movie that I started about 10 years ago. I always wanted to do a zombie movie.
Interesting, Robert and I share many things. Our love of Jaws, our love of John Carpenter movies, and our love of zombies. Grindhouse was really fun because it was so over the top. We had blood spraying, or squibbing somebody, or blowing people up. Every single night we were doing makeups, and every single night we had a gag, and every single night for, 50 nights. Shit. Robert really wanted this to feel like a 70s film. We did a lot of fake heads, we did a lot of animatronic puppets and bits and pieces, a lot of prosthetic stuff, because he wanted that feel.
No, don't touch him!
Why not?
He's infected.
What?
Everything.
And the design was challenging because they weren't zombies, they were infected people. So we wanted the infection to look real enough that it would be believable, but you also still wanted to make sure the audience knew they were watching a monster movie. And what we did was we used medical textbooks of different skin rashes and skin diseases as our basis, because the idea is that these people get infected with this nerve gas.
Physically, they start off with little lumps, and that's how you know that it's starting.
So it's more like leprosy, where this stuff just spreads. And as it spreads and takes over the body, you develop these liquid-filled bags of pus that are growing, these pustules and all this horrible stuff. And then as you go from that would be stage 1, then you get into stage 2, which is much larger pustules, bigger wounds, and it starts spreading more. And then stage 3, their heads are misshapen, their bodies are real built out, and it's all sort of twisted flesh that's kind of melded and grown together.
Then they evolve into the Elephant Man, and then they're dragging these big legs and arms around, No one has ever seen zombies like this before.
So we definitely had kind of an interesting free rein to explore the variation.
I never had a choice. Neither do I, sir. God bless you and your service to this country.
I have a nickname for Greg Nicotero. I call him my little pus monkey. Because he just creates, talk about letting your imagination run wild. You think this man can't top himself. He's, Academy Award nominated, brilliant makeup artist who's done it all. And in this film, it is just one bizarre, hybrid, creepy, gooey, bloody, messy creation after another. And it's all his fault.
Yeah, his zombies were pretty gruesome looking, especially when you're at, at the cafeteria having lunch, and all the zombies walk in, you're just sitting there having lunch and looking up and seeing these zombies with these big pussy faces.
What we're ready to do here is the shot of the rapist vomiting up his intestines. So we have this puppet rig that Eric built. We have Gino pushing the guts out, and they will obviously be removed from the shot, hopefully. And what we're doing is that Gino will be pushing the guts out while Eric will be puppeteering this arm via a rod, and he'll be puppeteering the head with this little handle that holds the tubes. And then we'll cut directly from this shot of the guts coming out of the mouth to the ground. It'll be a reverse shot where the guts will hit the ground and spread out. We'll do a reverse shot of the guts coming in.
3, 2, 1, go.
Nice. Okay.
That was cool.
John Carpenter would love it. All of the stuff with the rapist gag, we had to build a puppet so that as Quentin is melting, he can vomit out this weird tentacle. And Robert said, I have an idea how I want you to do that puppet. Just have a guy wear a green bodysuit, and then he can be the legs of the puppet, and then he can operate it. That was just a simple thing. He said, I saw a Halloween costume that looked like that once. I was like, perfect. And that's what we built, and it worked great.
I was just not prepared for the sight of that. It was just, we shot all my reaction shots before we shot his side. And to see it happening with tons of makeup artists, and I knew it was just a movie and movie magic, and they were pouring the fake blood and the fake pus and whatnot, and there were 50 people around, but I still could not stop. From my gag reflexes were just, I just couldn't help it. I was literally dry heaving. It was so disgusting. And I told Quentin and Robert, I'm like, I got it all wrong. We have to reshoot my reaction because really, when I see this, I gag. You know, I don't scream, I don't faint, I gag.
We just shot tonight where guys are melting. He's like, so what are we gonna do with this? I said, well, we sculpted a bunch of prosthetics that were muscle and veins, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a skin layer over top of that that's gonna be flesh-colored slime. And we're gonna lay hair on it, so when the guys have their hands over their face and they're screaming and they reach up, they pull their hair comes away and their hands come away, and there's flesh in their hands and all the skin's melted away, revealing the muscle and the musculature underneath. And he's like, okay, cool, let's do that.
Here we go, and struggle, struggle, stretch, and action. 3, 2, 1, pull. Start eating, start eating, start eating. Cut, cut.
You all right, Tom?
Cut, cut. Very nice.
Outside now!
Yeah, well, Robert wanted like comical amounts of blood from all the zombies because he wasn't really shooting for so much realism with all the bullet hits. So the more blood that you push out of the hit, of course, the more back pressure there's going to be on the stunt person. The stunt guys were coming back with little black and blue spots going, what was that? Basically, we'd get with Greg and he'd show us the stuff ahead of time, and we'd figure out the best angle or what's going to be visible. Because a lot of the bodies were taking on shapes that weren't human. So basically, we'd rig the hits in certain areas and we'd take them out on the set to double check.
We added material to keep the blood from atomizing, so when a zombie or a monster gets squibbed, the blood ribbons out, it stays together, so you see this great, like literally 10-foot streams of blood shooting out.
There's some skin I tore off.
First kill we did, Robert said, I said, well, how much blood do you want to see? He said, it's got to be like the Kittner boy from Jaws. I want to see blood fountaining in the air. So we had put all these blood tubes in with John McLeod, and we were spraying blood, and it was atomizing a little bit. And he just kept saying, I want to see it bubbling. And I said, well, Robert, in Jaws, the blood was in water, so it was bubbling. And that gave me an idea. So we ended up getting literally jugs of water that we were filling up and taking rubber gloves and condoms and filling them with blood. So when a zombie grabs someone's stomach and pulls, they're actually just tearing apart blood bags. So as they're pulling, blood spraying in the air. And the scene where we killed Tammy on the street, it was me and 2 other stunt guys, and we literally were like tearing blood bags apart. There's blood spraying in the air everywhere. And all you see is a silhouette. You walk away and you go look at the monitor and you're like, oh my God, how cool is that? You know, we shot a scene the other night where we had to basically rip the top of a guy's head off and eat his brains. And it was really funny because I was sitting there, Gino Crognoli played the zombie. So it was really specific. I said, okay, when you peel the skin back, don't peel it back too easily. There has to be a little tension there. And you have to crack through the skull, because Robert just said, just peel it open and we'll eat the brains. I'm like, no, we gotta put the skull there. So he peels it back, breaks the skull, and pulls the brains out. And the brains were made of gelatin filled with strawberry preserves. Picks up the brains, squeezes them, and all the goo comes out. And he just goes, and starts eating it. And they all cut, and Quentin's the first one going, that was amazing! That was like the Glenn Strange of today. You were so perfect.
Glenn Strange, you're Strange Glenn.
Excellent.
I did one gag with Nicky where he had an infected tongue.
Oh, breathe it.
And I made a bunch of boils, and I basically took like saran wrap and I filled it with pus and blood, and I twisted it into a little bubble, and I made a little slice on the silicone tongue and stuck it through. So basically it was like a little boil on the top of it. And there was one take where he sticks his tongue out and Josh grabs it and pops it, and the stuff went and shot right through frame, and everybody on set went, oh, because it's just the idea of all the blood and the dripping, oozing, and the yellow pus and stuff. People are going to be like, okay, he just popped a boil on the guy's tongue and it shot pus onto his eye, and then later he gets covered. It's just, it's really over the top. Josh Brolin walks in and sees Nicky with a bone saw, and he's literally just cut the doctor's chest open. I mean, like a normal zombie would have eaten him, but he has a weapon, and he cuts his chest open. And I remember during the production meeting, I said, Robert, you want to see into this guy's chest? He said, no, it's not about that. It'll be about, you know, Nicky, and we'll paint up and we'll see him. But on the day, we put a chest piece on him with all the carved open bone and a lot of blood and guts on it. And when Robert saw that, he positioned the guy so he was laying right over the table with his chest right at camera. I don't even think he remembered that he didn't want that, but we threw it in anyway just because I thought it would look cool. The first night, Robert's like, yeah, I'd like to give Marley like a chipped tooth.
My character has to start her car with her mouth, and in the process chips her tooth. So the whole second half of the film, I have a chipped tooth. It is so disturbing to people that I'll be walking around set, and for instance, we'll be at lunch and there'll be all these grotesque zombies, you know, eating their dinner, and I'll come by with my chipped tooth, and people could care less about the, you know, the gross zombies. They're sort of anesthetized to Greg's makeup world, but all they care about is how weird I look with my chipped tooth. So, which Greg also created, but it's amazing what just a little disturbing blackout paint can do. Sometimes less is more.
The only reason that we were able to pull this movie off was we share the same love of this genre and these kinds of films. Everybody did an amazing job.